Angel did not almost forget the name of the show again. That's never happened to me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Now you got me laughing.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum. When I tell you there's no better way to spend Women History Month than talking to women in horror films, I literally, like, when we were scheduling this, I didn't intentionally do that, but man, I'm so amped to have y'all on for this. Voices celebrates women all the time. It's a very high priority of ours, but this is women in history, and for us typically means women in horror, of course. So today I am joined by two very talented women in horror, which is
I'll take it.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I told Mike, I was like, I'm not going to gush. It'll take 3 hours to do this video if I gush. I'm going to be mindful and try to just stick to basics. But yeah, so today I'm joined with Angela Gulner, writer, director, and Emma Fitzpatrick, who plays Bet in the Beldham. How are y'all? Thank you for joining me.
Good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. I literally, when I first saw this movie, I kind of went in blind. I didn't know very much about it. I had seen posts, obviously. It got a lot of traction, I feel like, on like Instagram and stuff like that. And when I finally watched it, I messaged my co-host directly after, and I was like, oh my God, this movie. And it instantly became one of my favorite films from last year. And anybody in my real life can vouch that I'm not just saying that because you're in front of me, because I came home and talked about it for hours with my partner about how much I loved it. So I'm very excited to be chatting. I guess I kind of want to start. Well, obviously the focus is going to be, we want to talk about the Beldham, but I thought it would be kind of neat to get to know both of you just a little bit more and kind of how you ended up in film.
Ooh, you first.
Okay, well, it's not dissimilar. We both start. Well, obviously, you're an actor in the movie.
Yeah.
That I directed. Yeah, you were in it.
But we both started as actors.
We both started as actors. But I say it that way because we've been friends for a long time and worked with each other over 10, 15 years. And she's produced, she's been in things I've produced. So,
and we met acting together on a web series that never saw the light of day, but
I know it's very good.
Yeah, but we played, you played like a neurotic reporter. Was that right? Manager, and I played like a stoned rock star.
Yeah.
So that was our introduction to each other.
That's great. I love that.
2015. Yeah. So it's been like 11 years of making things together.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. No, that's awesome. I know when filmmakers come on and talk about working with people that they have great relationships, I think that just makes things shine through more in the film. So I love that.
Oh yeah. I've always said I was, my time in LA, I was trying to find my Wes Anderson, because he met his crew like in college and just kind of worked with the same people over and over again.
Absolutely.
And Angela has been putting me in everything she's made for about a decade. So I feel like she is my Wes Anderson. Yeah.
That has to feel so good to hear that. Jeez. I love that.
I'll take it.
Yeah. It's not the first time I've told her that either. So I think
that's awesome. So are your other projects that you've done together, are they all in horror, or do you do other genres as well?
They are all in horror.
Yeah.
I love it.
We've done a couple,
but we've done some comedy stuff.
Binge was comedy.
Take Back was horror.
Yeah, and then the one we met on was a comedy. Yeah. So
okay, but primarily horror. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're hilarious, is what we're trying to say. We're very funny and we're very scary.
And we're very scared.
Yeah.
Two things can be true at once. I get it.
Right. It's true.
Life is about balance.
True. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Beldham had its main release last year, towards the end of the year. And I just a short synopsis: a struggling new mother fights a generations-old presence lurking within her family home, threatening her safety, her sanity, and the life of her infant child. Just for anybody that's watching who by some chance has not seen this, I think you should remedy that. But also, we are going to dive into some spoilers, because there's some themes specific to the ending of this film that I'm dying to talk about. So just a heads up to anybody watching, there will be spoilers to the major plot points of the film. Not step for step, obviously, but so I kind of want to start with where this project came from. Why the Beldham? How did we end up with this insane story about women and age and family and just lay all of that on me? I want to know.
Yeah, I mean, this will spoiler but my right sort of in the middle of COVID, my grandmother took a big turn.
Okay.
It hit the elderly, it hit everyone really hard, but it hit like
Sure.
specific elderly really hard because of the isolation and
Yeah.
we're not moving as much.
Perfect tie-in.
Yeah. she was going through a decline, and I went, my husband who produced the film, and he plays the awkward home buyer.
Yeah. That's great.
We went and we spent a couple months helping my mom and her sister kind of get them situated and sort of gear my grandma and grandpa up to move into an assisted living facility. And it
Right. Okay.
I've been really fortunate in my life that that's the first time I've really seen like age impact my family. Like it's the first time I've sort of encountered that. And my grandma and my mom and I have always been very close, and seeing my mom care for my grandma and just seeing that like generational changing of the guard was hard and sad, like also kind of beautiful. And that kind of like soup is what, inspired the film. So it started with the twist. I knew that's kind of where I wanted to go. And it was a lot of iterations of trying to find the most effective way there. So it came from all of those big feelings.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think, and I want to say too, because obviously there's some other more minor characters, but the focal point is the three women in the different generations, right? Mm-hmm. So obviously we have Emma, who plays Bet, who is like one of my favorite characters. So when you asked if she could come on, I was like, yes. I loved her character. I was like, absolutely. Katie Parker plays Harper. Mm-hmm. And then Patricia Heaton plays Sadie, which was crazy to see her in anything. Because I mean, she's the TV mom, right? Like she's been, and so seeing her in something more drama, more grief, I would say, more along those heavier, kind of things was really cool. But ultimately, the three women in this are what make that twist, I think, so emotional. Like they were so great at capturing all these different pieces, and there's all these layers that really genuinely do not add up until the end. Mm-hmm. And typically, I'll be honest with you, I would sort of categorize this as like a slower burn, just because you do have to get to that to get everything out of the film.
We know.
Yeah. It's a slow burn, but I typically am like very anti-slow burn because I feel like in horror, there's so many movies that do that, and the payoff is just not there. I'm not exaggerating. Watching it, I get to the mirror, we get to that scene, and I had tears coming down out, it was just one of those things, because I've only seen a couple of films that really tackle things like this, specifically related to women and what happened to women when they age and what it means for their families and things of that nature. So it was just like, I just couldn't believe it. It blew me out of the water coming into it. I hadn't even seen a trailer. I knew absolutely nothing about this when I watched it.
That's great.
And so I kind of want to talk through the major plot twist. I already mentioned there to be spoilers, but the major plot twist, right, is that Harper is not who we perceive her to be for 85% of the film. So we think Harper's had this weird episode when she's walking down the street with her baby, her newborn, and they are worried about her, where she is, her state of mind and all of these things. So she goes to live with her mom and her mom's keeper, or someone who's staying there with her mom helping. And ultimately it's revealed that Harper is actually Sadie's mother and that Bet is her granddaughter.
Yes. Yep.
And so there's these three generations of women, and it's just this very like heartbreaking, beautiful story about what happens when these things happen and how hard it is at different levels. Because you've almost got Bet's almost like a little bit of an enabler at certain points. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, so what is this relationship? What's this dynamic here? This
Mhm.
is different, right? Because she doesn't, as far as the viewer knows, doesn't know anything about Harper. And I just want to talk about like all the things that went through y'all's mind, both writing, directing, playing those characters, and how you were able to kind of hone in and manage to capture all of that in a movie that's less than 7 hours long.
Well, I'm so glad it worked so well for you. It like
Yeah.
warms my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a lot of. Emma is obviously, I said, one of my closest friends. Katie has
Yeah.
also been one of my closest friends for the past 15 years. So, but I
Okay.
wrote both roles for both of them.
Oh, okay.
Made them read 25,000 drafts of this.
My pleasure.
But we had so many conversations about the film and the story, and you shared stories from your life, and Katie shared stories from her life. And so it
Yeah.
really helped, when you're writing something like that stems from yourself, sometimes it can be hard to like hurt those characters and let those characters feel pain. And so I think by hearing other women's stories around these end of life, dementia, aging, loss, pregnancy themes, it sort of helped take it out. It was like, okay, this actually doesn't have to be about me and my specific situation.
Right.
We can talk about something a little bit bigger than that. And so I feel like I can hurt these characters and feel okay about it.
Yeah, a little easier.
Yeah. It is super relatable. I think a lot of people experience, unfortunately, have a family member or know somebody with a family member that they've lost to Alzheimer's or dementia. And the horror aspect of watching somebody disappear right in front of you is terrifying. It is a slow burn. It is, like, I don't know how to fight this thing. I don't know how to love this person in the place they're in with whatever way they know me now, or even if they don't know me, like still loving them and giving them dignity in that time is like, that just like made me tear up.
I know. I'm like, I could do this.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, I mean, as far as like tracking all of that, because you don't want to give it away,
right?
Katie does, like you and Patty had to play two realities. I mean, the whole time.
Katie, and all three of us,
I guess,
had to
Katie
play.
too.
It was great. Yeah.
So, and Katie obviously bore the brunt of that.
Right.
Because she was she was carrying like psychosis, but also like she's an old woman and postpartum, and it is, and you want to play the truth of all of those scenarios. But I think that's what it comes down to, right? And like that's a big actor lesson from the beginning of learning, being in acting classes, is playing the truth of a scene. And if you always come back to that, and if the truth of the scene, for me particularly, if Bet is caring for her grandmother who thinks that she's a young woman in her 20s, it's not hard to just care for that woman in her crisis, right? Like you're just helping somebody and caring for them in the way that meets their need in the moment. And I think that's not difficult. And that's kind of how you stay grounded to like the thing you're doing in this scene or in this moment.
Yeah.
Without playing toward the bigger thing, right? You don't want to telegraph. You don't want to like give away where there's just enough. You want to create just enough suspicion and confusion. But the gift of being an actor in this is that like a lot of that is in the edit. A lot of it is in what's not said. So you're just focusing on like, how do I care for this person? I had the easiest job on set. I literally just got to like, I just got to like kind of roll up and like be really kind to a woman that I loved. And then, well, I did have to get yelled at by America's Mom quite a few times, which was.
Yeah, you got in trouble a lot. Yeah.
Well, I grew up watching Everybody Loves Raymond. Like
who did it?
I was in my living room my whole childhood. So I was like, this is weird that she's mad at me. But besides that,
Yeah. It's true. Like all of because you all have such different perspectives on the situation, whether we've gotten to the exact situation yet or not, there's like it's almost like you're able to feel everything all at once as a viewer. So like, when you have Harper who's like, I'm a mom, like, and I don't have a baby anymore, but I've got 3 kids and I have one that's still pretty young. And it's seeing like the way she's being, it was hard for me not to be mad for her sometimes. Like there are these moments where I'm like, why are y'all acting? Of course, naturally we all figure it out eventually, but it's one of those things where to be able to catch it from all these different angles, and it's like, the relationship that Harper comes in and has with Bet, and then like just the way, Sadie is between the two, and you've got, you're being told, well, she's dealing with a lot. But that's because you as a viewer think she's the one that's going through something medical maybe, or it's kind of ambiguous on purpose, but you are able to get all of these perspectives so that when you do get to the payoff and you do get to that twist that tells you the real story, and you get this incredible scene of them at the end together as themselves being able to just have that moment, you as a viewer are able to appreciate it from like all aspects. And I just don't think like we don't spend a lot of time in film in the world talking about family dynamics between women and generational love between women. And I think that going into this with also the added pain of a terrible loss and heartbreak that has happened so long ago, but is so fresh, and knowing that that really is how grief like that works. It was just such an incredible thing to feel. I don't know how you managed to get all of this in. Like, it really is a testament to not only the writing, directing, but the team behind it in general, from everybody on camera, everybody I'm sure on set, like, and I guess like, there's not really a question. I promised I wasn't going to gush, but I knew,
So sweet though. You're
um,
making
I
my
just like,
absolute
well, genuinely, like, because I'm consumed with her all the time. It's like all I watch and do for the most part. And so to be able to watch something that is in the horror genre and feel something so deeply, I don't think is really super normal. Like, I think we're getting to these places where we are having those discussions. We are seeing things like that. There's a couple of movies that come to mind. One of them's I think it's called The Manor. And then the other one is, I think it's called She Is Her. It's got that incredible actress from Silent Hill 2006. But those are both more about aging in general as a woman and how society perceives you, and not necessarily, the loss of power that comes with a family member, like you said, Emma, about watching them and having to see them suffer this way and not really being able to do anything except try to love them anyway.
Yeah.
And I just think that like, you nailed all of those themes so well, and it's just a testament to, I think, why we need more stories like this in horror, any genre. But I'm a little biased on the horror side.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
I will, just to brag on Angela for a moment. Like, a lot of it is crafted in the script. I mean,
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
things fall into place because what is on paper is so solid and makes so much sense.
Yeah.
We actually had a really like unfortunate thing happen on the last day of shooting that could have ruined many movies. I don't know if you want to take over, but
she has allowed us to talk about this.
Yeah.
Katie got norovirus.
I mean, I also got
you
it.
got it,
but I was
we
on a plane home. So
oh my gosh.
But Katie, the lead of the movie, was out on the last day of the film, which was like where you had spent the most budget, right? On, like, building
of course.
Yeah.
And we had this big, like, it's the void sequence in black. And we had this big fight between Harper and the monster that we had choreographed. Mirrors were going to explode, and it was going to be this thing. And then it was like,
it was the climax of the movie.
Well,
and then they didn't have the actress.
Oh my God.
And we're a little indie. We can't probably afford to reshoot this. Like, all of our crew jobs that they need to take, and they should. And and so Talon, who was Talon Edelson, Katie's stunt double, I was like, hey, can you hang out all day? We'll pay you. And we just, me and her and Kasusha Genenfeld, incredible cinematographer, and the creative team that was there, we just went, what's a vibe? Okay, let's shoot some vibes. What are themes? What are things we can like things we want to play with? And
then the editor,
and then Dashel
did a magic trick. And made
wow.
it. I mean, I honestly, like, again, I read so many versions of the script. I was there on set, except for the last day. I had flown home because I was wrapped. But when she told me that Katie was sick, I was like, well, the movie's like not going to work. Like there's no way to make
Yeah.
And when I saw it in the theater, I was like, I think this worked better. Like I truly was
Yeah.
just like, I can't believe this is what you guys pulled out. This.
Just I'm blacked out. Just anxiety.
Yeah. You are the void at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
really, just to speak to the team, but also like the story has to be so strong and what's on the
It
page
is.
has to be so strong. So yeah.
Sweet. Oh, thanks.
Yeah. No, I think you nailed all of that stuff. I just think like I said, I got about halfway through and I wasn't sure where it was going because of, there's these hints of these like sort of paranormal, or I guess otherworldly is probably a better way to put it. And you're like, where is this going? What does it have to do with the beginning? And it all came full circle so beautifully. So genuinely, I really did enjoy the movie. And that's the last time I'm going to gush, I promise, for at least now. But I did want to ask about, because this is specifically does focus on the women relationships with each other, and specifically in these 3 generations. When you're telling this story, is there something specific or something you'd want to elaborate on that you want people to get out of this experience as a viewer?
Yeah, I think what I wanted was, I love horror, and
Yeah.
I think there's space for all kinds of horror. There's space for Terrifier. There's space
Absolutely.
for 28 Years Later. There's space for all of it.
Yeah.
For me personally, in like the kind of like horror I want to make is like, especially with women in peril or in pain on screen, and because we're dealing with like infant loss, and we're dealing with really, really the worst thing you can, worst shit you can think about.
Yeah.
I just really want the ending to have been worth the struggle of getting there, and to not like, and it's tough because it is a brutal journey, and I know that it can be a little bit trying to watch, and part of that is on purpose to get the catharsis at the end. But I just wanted at the end for there to be like a breath and like that real sense of catharsis and understanding and compassion. And it's not a happy ending, but like I really wanted, like, Sadie is not my mom. This is not my family, but I was like, I really need to land this plane so that my mom feels seen in this. And so that, because she's such a tough character that whole time. She's so ugly and she's so cruel. But like, that is like the most, it can be like, to be, so many women and so many families have that caretaker role thrust upon them. They didn't ask for it. A lot of times the men in the family aren't stepping up. Sometimes they are.
Sure.
My stepdad is someone who has, and that's kind of where Corbin's character came from, just sort of being sort of the silent supporter who's not trying to lead anything, but just
still there.
To just be there and not, not be the expert. And I would ideally, the audience feels compassion for all 4 of them. And it just like, I don't know, gives us a little bit more compassion for those in our own lives who might be, in it.
Yeah. I feel like I think that was accomplished. I would be surprised if someone watched it and didn't feel that way. But I feel it's interesting because I don't disagree that it's not like the best ending, right? There's no magical cure to just like everything, right? Because that's not the reality of these situations for people who have to experience it and who are trying to be, helpful supporters of people who are living with, someone in their family that is going through it. But I think there was this weird tinge for me of hope. And I don't know if that comes from just that little moment where it's not completely lost, and it doesn't mean that it was never there, and then, obviously you're adding in Bet having, becoming a mother herself, and you have those things. It's almost this like, it's just this continuation of women who love and support each other. And I feel like that scene on the bench is sincerely the one that almost like broke me. Like it was so it was so
Credits,
painfully
right?
like, yeah.
It's while the credits are rolling, and it's still like it's so haunting.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
but in like the best way, because this I didn't stop I'm telling you, I did not stop talking about this or thinking about this movie for weeks after I saw it.
That's awesome.
And it's one of those things where I just feel like we just need more stuff like this. I get so tired of mental health tropes where it's like, oh, they just ended up being a crazy murderer. And God knows they do that to women a lot. A lot of women end up just being crazy. And so to take this from an actual illness that does hurt a lot of families and to show it from this angle, I just think like there's no way people watch this and they don't feel that type of what you're talking about, that compassion for those
because
people.
it's not, at the end of the day, it's not about the illness, it's about the connection between
Absolutely.
generations, and it's about again, it's about caring even when they don't know who you are.
Yeah.
Like that is so powerful. And like
Yeah.
I love when horror is used to take us to places that we're scared to go, and
Yeah.
that being a woman can be horrifying.
It's very horrifying, no matter what stage of life.
There's so many sort of, like you said, stages of life or situations we can be put in that, especially when amplified and put under this microscope of horror film, it's an opportunity to look down the barrel of the gun and say like, and then you leave feeling, you had conversations about it for weeks, right? Or days or whatever. And if you are somebody that has lost somebody or has experienced this kind of thing, maybe it's something you never could talk about before. And then
that's true.
All of a sudden you're like, I saw this incredible movie and it moved me so much, and this is why. And it like rips you open in the most satisfying way. So keeps looking at me like that.
Yeah. Well, you use the word cathartic, and that's pretty much what you're kind of getting at. Is it's very it's validating, because people who have these stories, I'm sure so many feel like they can't talk about it. They don't feel like people can relate to it. People don't get it, right? Because it's not talked about on any level, regardless of whether you're talking about film or not. And it's just something that I feel like we're finally getting to this place with. And this is one of the best things about indie filmmakers in general, is they go the places that the mainstream things are just not going to do. I mean, how many more haunted house films do we need where it's the same cliches over and over again? Instead, we're getting something that, sure, it might be a slower burn, but it's meaningful in a way that maybe people didn't realize horror could be. And I think that's an even bigger point, because God knows I've been judged my whole life for liking horror movies. People think they're just weirdos that like horror, but it's because it can be things like this.
Yeah.
Because it can heal parts of you. It can change the way you view things. It can elevate experiences that you've had and make you feel seen. And I think that that's going to do this for anybody who's seen it, that has had those experiences, or even if they're just close to somebody who has. Yeah.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, of course. That was the last gush. I promise. That's it. I swear.
I don't believe you, and I'm here for it.
I told Mike. So Mike and I have been trying really hard to be mindful of our times, because super long videos, they just don't perform well, and I don't want people to miss out on stuff. So we try to keep things concise. And I said, if I don't gush, I think I can get it in the time frame that we want. And here, this is like my 6th time, and I've got text messages and Instagram messages. I can prove that I feel this way. I'm not just
providing context.
Well, cool. So I guess, we always ask this at the end of things, but I wanted to see, was there anything y'all are working on right now that you can share that's coming down the pipeline?
I don't think you can talk about anything.
It's okay if you can't. We just,
maybe. Yeah, nothing. That sounds a lot fancier than it is. Nothing that I can talk too much about, but
okay.
It's not like we've signed contracts to not talk about things. It's more just like
no, I get that.
But I guess the one I can kind of talk about, and you manifest it, but I have a horror Western that is kind of being cast in,
that's cool. Okay.
Work in the financing routes right now. So hoping that comes to fruition.
It's a very long journey to get, especially indie films made. And especially good indie films made, because the more you care about what you're saying, the longer it takes to get it right.
Yeah. 100%.
And find the right people and get the right financing and stuff. So
yeah.
I know Angela has a lot of pots on the boil, so that should be
Well, that's exciting.
fun. Yes, it's
Yeah.
exciting for me because that means I'm gonna
Because
get
you get to have some stuff to do. Yeah.
Boil you up.
yeah. Her upcoming work is my upcoming work.
I
as
love
far
it.
as I'm
That's hilarious.
And vice versa.
Very good. Now that makes me happy. And because we are specifically focusing on women, we do it all the time, but this month is the month, to support and really, really be loud about women.
Mhm.
I just kind of wanted to hear your thoughts on why you think women in filmmaking is important. Y'all both did the same gesture. You both did this at the same time.
I'm like, how much time do you have? I have a 10
Oh no!
I know
I should
you
have sent it ahead of time.
did the speech today.
No.
I mean, story is just how we've understood our experience from like the very beginning of time. It's like how our brains are creating stories so constantly, and they shape our realities. So, I don't think I'm, a neurosurgeon or a,
Sure.
climate activist or doing that kind of very important work. But I do think like story is so core to who we are as people, and the stories that are told and the way that they are told shape the way that our world functions and changes and regresses. And if you're not seeing you in the driver's seat of how the stories are created, you're not going to be taken care of in the messaging of what those stories are. And so I think the more diverse our storytellers can be, the more rich we will all be for it.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mine's a little like more crass, but that stat, years ago that was like, if only women wrote books and made TV and film for 500 years, if men weren't allowed to, we would just be catching up. Let's just like saturate the market with the other voice.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess that's not crass. It's just a little more.
You actually said it nicer than I would have. So I applaud you for that. I've learned in my age that I'm becoming like a raging feminist instead of just a regular feminist.
Yeah.
So you said it very gracefully.
There's a little more FU behind that.
Yeah. I felt it. I could feel it. Yeah.
What is it like I'm stepping into my like forest hag era? Like my swamp monster.
Yes.
We should
where we are.
Yeah, we should be so lucky.
Yeah, we're fed up. Yeah, so it's starting to no, I love that. All right, cool. Well, thank you again for making time to come on and talk.
Such a delightful.
Yeah. And anything that you do in the future, hit us up. We'd love to have you back, help promo anything we can. Seriously. We're already big fans. And my co-host who decided, he was like, it's Women in Horror Month, and we kind of want to, he was like, I feel like maybe we should just, and I was like, I totally agree. It's absolutely okay. But just so you know, he was also a massive fan of this and was probably a big kind of bug in my ear about like, hey, you should really check this out. Because he knows me pretty well enough at this point to know what I will and won't just absolutely eat up. And so I did want to at least convey that on his behalf, that he did also thoroughly enjoy this. And I know he will be very excited to watch the chat and learn more about it from y'all's perspectives for sure. Well, very cool. Well, if you haven't watched the Beldham, again, I think you should remedy that. We did spoil some stuff, but maybe you skip that part, or maybe you watch the whole thing and you don't care about spoilers. Some people are like that too, I guess. But anyway, and I will put, I guess I need to find Emma, I guess, on socials, because I don't have you, I don't think, on anything, but I'll remedy that and I'll get links in the description so everybody can go follow you guys as well and see everything that you have coming down the line when it's time. So that's going to wrap up this episode. Yeah, of course. Thank you guys for coming out. I've been amped about this, and we booked it so far in advance.
I know.
I was like, God!
I was like, wait, I think this is still happening.
Yes. And you literally caught me right when I was about to message you myself with the link. And so I was laughing because I was like, that's very me. Because I do that on the day of. I always like to double check. So yeah, no way I was missing this. So anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us on this episode. Hope you have a great rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend when you get to it. And we will see you in the next one.